Hello everyone, this is Season992 and today we're back for another brand new video, and today's video comes to us making it the third time in the last 24 hours you've had to see this guy's face on YouTube. Do apologise about that, people, but there were some things to discuss yesterday and it's even bigger today as the distraction of signings, rumours, this and that is put to side because it's the time Scottish football stands still and watches itself, and people from down south actually pay attention to this league as it's time for Rangers versus Celtic. It's time for the Old Firm. And as I did say during the intro, it's the third upload in the last 24 hours, so I'm not sure how many people's actually going to see today's video, as YouTube doesn't really promote that many videos getting uploaded at the one time. But if you are here, I greatly appreciate you, and if you do enjoy the channel or find yourself enjoying this video, please consider hitting that like button or subscribing, or if you could do both, that would be absolutely sensational. But what I'm sure would be sensational to every single person tuning in is if I just get on with it. We know why we're here, we know the stress, we know the pain, we know the hopeful happiness that we'll have by the end of it. But it is Old Firm season. Christmas season is gone, Old Firm season is here, so let's go ahead and talk about it then, shall we? And as always, we'll start off with the old oppositional preview, which means we need to look at the team who is currently top of the SPFL. It is us, it is none other than Celtic, and aye, didn't like that. And it's interesting how much this game and the complexion's changed and tweaked over the last 48 hours, people, because if things had went to plan, if it had all went normally and the way it was scheduled, this game right here would be a battle to see who's sitting the tippity top of Scottish football when the New Year bells start to chime. But because the Ross County wasn't able to travel down to Ibrox because the A9 looked like the opening scene for Elf, that game had to be postponed, meaning Rangers have yet another game postponed. So Celtic currently sit 5 points clear at the top of the table, having played 2 more games than Rangers. But nevertheless, despite it not being a battle for who's sitting tippity top of Scottish football, that's enough of a carrot to be dangled in front of this Rangers team, and we'll speak about that more on, as we're supposed to be looking at Celtic right now. And I think maybe the best way I can actually summarise how Celtic seasons went so far is by looking at it from our end as well. We've sacked the manager. Remember Beale Ball? Remember how torturous Beale Ball actually was? We had the sack a manager, had Stephen Davis in charge for a short time, it brought in a manager. Well, despite the madness and the mess that we've been in, Celtic sit just 5 points clear of us, having played again 2 more games, meaning if we do our jobs, we will be sitting tippity top of Scottish football when we are on equal terms. And that there is a summary of how the transition between Ange Postecoglou and Brendan Rodgers has actually went, as it's not went the way a lot of Celtic fans thought it would. However, it's went the way that some of us actually predicted, as it's vastly different styles, and especially the way they go about their business. And we'll speak about that more on, as Celtic actually come into this game hosting Rangers at Parkhead over the last 5 games, having the exact same league form as third place Hearts. There's not too many times you can actually say about that about Celtic, especially over the last couple of years when they've been absolutely sensational, especially domestically, but they've not been that way recently, as they've lost 2 of the last 5. And we mentioned Hearts about 30 seconds ago, not only showing that they've got the exact same league form as Celtic do in the season to give an indication of how they're playing, but also we mentioned Hearts because Hearts were the last team to go to Parkhead just recently, the exact same stadium that we're going to tomorrow, and took all 3 points as they hurt Celtic early on and won the game in the opening 35 minutes through 2 devastating set pieces. One of them a corner right to the back post where Big Pennywise got his head on it, football. Phenomenal finish for Shanklin as he just continues to score hundreds and hundreds of goals for Hearts before Stephen Kingsley stepped up with a free kick for the car park and buried it, giving Joe Hart no chance. And I mention that game not only because it makes me happy, but again, it's the job that's ahead of us. That's the task. Hearts have shown that it is possible. Celtic at Parkhead is a difficult place, and a very difficult historically for this Rangers team. There's been fantastic Rangers sides not being able to go to Parkhead and getting a result, but no disrespect, when you see the likes of Hearts gone there, even Motherwell getting a good result, you've got to get your confidence up and you've got to get your belief up and gone there and getting the job. And that's something that wasn't there over the last couple of years, especially under Ange, because you knew Celtic could simply just blow you away because of their style of play and how they go about their business. But again, it is a vast jump between Ange's Celtic side and Brendan's more traditional possession-based Celtic side, and they showed that with their other loss as well, as they once again went to Rugby Park and Kilmarnock deservedly won. It wasn't a fluke. Yes, they scored late in the game, but if we're being brutally honest, Kilmarnock more than deserved that win, as it now makes their second win over Celtic at Rugby Park this season, as they obviously previously knocked them out of the Cup earlier on in the competition, which was also very enjoyable. Truthfully, I'd love nothing more than to be saying that's their most recent games. Their lull in confidence, their lull in form, their lull in ability to play football, but that's not truthfully what's happened. As I've looked back to maybe their sharper best in the most recent 2 games that they've actually played. One of them being a home game, a comfortable 2-0 win over Livingston. However, it did require 2 second half goals versus the worst team statistically in the SPFL this season. Before, in their most recent game, can he have fun? Can he poke jabs at this one? It was just one of the most one-sided games of football I've ever witnessed, as they went to Dees Park, beat Dundee handedly 3-0. Yes, again, it required 2 late goals for Mikey Johnson, of all people, but if you watch that game or pay attention, if it was a boxing match, they'd have threw in the towel after about 20 minutes. It was devastating, it was rampant, and it was the Celtic we sort of expected under the previous manager. So I think if we're being fair, Celtic have looked much better than their most recent 2 games, but if we're also being fair between me and they should be versus the worst team in the league, Livingston. And again, no disrespect to Dundee, being very impressed with the recently promoted Championship side, but they also let Lammer score for 35 yards out. So, you know what I mean, Celtic, with the resources and players that they've got still on their books, should be battering those 2 teams. And you've kind of heard me touch on Ange, and you've heard me touch on the Brendan Rodgers change and transition, and I think it is quite evident there is a stark difference in play, and that's why some of their very talented players, because believe it or not, despite fun and jokes, there is still genuine quality in that Celtic side. They just do. I'd love to say it's no, but they've got genuine quality, but what they're being asked today is completely different, and I think that's why some players that were utterly devastating under the previous manager is sort of going through the motions right now, as the fear factor that was built from Ange's way of playing and breathless style of football, score mentality, has sort of faded away again for a more traditional manager under Brendan Rodgers, who likes to keep the ball, who likes to play the percentages, who likes to play almost Beal ball possession football. And I think that is a stark difference that we are starting to get used to, and I think one of the reasons teams are starting to pick up results against them, because people aren't terrified now to play Celtic. They just were. Look at them over the last couple of years. They're not scared to play them anymore because they know that rampant, breathless style of football. It's more traditional, and it gives opposition, especially teams in Scottish football, if you can keep it tight and no beat yourself, it gives you options and chances to hurt them, and that's what's happened over the last couple months. But again, managers, form, fitness, it all gets flung out the window when it's Old Firm season, because it's a battle. I know it might seem cringy and it might seem a bit daft to say, but that's the way these rivalry games always are. It doesn't matter how you're playing, who you're playing, who's actually able to go out in the park. When the whistle goes, the team that will win the Mora or get the points, whatever you want to go ahead and say it, is the team with the players that actually want it more, that's willing to put in the extra 5%, who wins their individual battles. And Celtic have obviously had the upper hand on us recently, especially in the last game, which for me was maybe, because obviously I've been here, I've seen the 5-1s, I've seen them pump us 4-0, blah 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 blah, I've been there through it all, we've experienced it together. But the game at Ibrox where we sat off them and looked scared to play them is one of the lowest I've ever felt as a Rangers fan, and honestly it signed the death warrant on Michael Beale's Rangers managerial career, and that has to be ripped up. And I think going into this game, Celtic should expect to see a different Rangers team, a team that's actually there to be battling and go ahead and fight it. And I think if you look at how Celtic struggle with teams going at them like that, it should give you some confidence. But again, Celtic, Parkhead, it's always a difficult place to go, and I have to give credit to the likes of the Rileys, the Palmers and everything like that. There is still very, very good players. Kyogo is still a very good goal scorer that if you give him a half chance, he usually puts away. So I'm expecting a tough test. Yes, it's fun to look at how they've struggled recently. Yes, it's been nice to see Hearts beat them, Kilmarnock beat them, Motherwell draw with them, St Johnstone nearly beat them and come a whisker away for taking a point. It's very nice, but all that gets pushed out to here because it's about what set of individual players believe they can win this game and want to win this game, and that's what's up for grabs tomorrow. And I think that there actually gives me the perfect transition away from the Celtic end now over to the Rangers end, because mentality, approach, willingness to win is something that we hear continuously said by Phil Clement, and I think the biggest difference under Phil Clement is he seems to set his players out there with that mindset to go out there. It's no safe for safe sake anymore. We've actually got people being direct, we've got people being committed, and that's why he's been able to turn a group of players that were only going down that way and get them going back that way. Now again, he's still got a lot of the players that I've not got a lot of faith in, especially in terms of this fixture, that I think maybe their heads are slightly gone, but there's nothing he can do about it till the January transfer actually opens and he can move on certain individuals and bring in other players like the Silvers, etc. that he actually wants. So he has definitely got his back up against the wall to sort of beat the mentality block that seems to be there under a couple of Rangers players. But if there's ever been a Rangers manager of the last donkeys years, the last 5-6 years, who could be able to break that mentality block and get a Rangers team believing that they should be able to go in to Parkhead and get a result, it is, Phil Clement, and I hope that's how he sets us up to play, because it can't be any worse and more embarrassing than what Michael Beale done at Ibrox. And I'd love us to go into this game and treat it the way that it needs to be treated and make it a war zone, make it a fight, and actually just give everything. If we get beat or if we drop points, if we draw, whatever, that's fair enough, but I want to see a team go out there and leave everything on the cards, because there's not one person who can look at the last game, the last so far, and say that we did that. We were disgusted, there was frustration. I didn't want that feeling there, and honestly I feel like if we day treat this game and if we go on full pelt and get it, this is the time to play the likes of Celtic at Parkhead. I get it, very difficult place, very difficult side, but if we play the way we know we can play and win our individual battles, there's no reasons why we can't win this game. If the likes of the Hearts and everything can go there, why is it so negative? Why is it so nippy to say we should be able to go out there and get all 3 points? Yes, it's a rivalry game, but it's two sides to the rivalry. Either side can win, and for me, do I believe Rangers can win this game? Aye. Do the players believe it? That's the question. And we mentioned a carrot dangled in front of them previously, and that's what's ahead of them. You win this game, you cut the points down to 2, separating the side with 2 games to play. That's given us the opportunity to be clear at the top of the table. You can't get a bigger carrot dangled in front of a bunch of Rangers players, and I'm expecting the start to rectify that and show that if you start fast, you start early, you can hurt this Celtic squad. But if you sit off them and you let them play, and if you let Callum McGregor sit there and orchestrate the entire midfield, giving them 15 yards of space, I still didn't understand why Beale did that in the Old Firm game. But if you let him just pick his spots and get in a rhythm, it could be a rough day. But we've seen enough rough days. Can we see some happy ones? That would be sensational. But sensational takes us to the next team news and that, because again I would love to be able to sit here and say we've got players available and this guy available and this and this and this and feeling good, because again I feel like our strongest 11 and their strongest 11 battle our backers to actually win that game. I truly would. You can argue amongst yourselves in the comments, but that's how I feel. But Rangers, you know, are a mess right now. We don't have a single fit centre mid for this game. Whether or not Lundstram makes it remains to be seen. It's very tight-lipped in terms of the pressers, but again it's against all odds. The guy that's been playing well in midfield has been a right back by the name of Sterling, who I feel like is almost, again this is going to sound ridiculous because he is a full back, but if there's ever a game for him to go in, it's this game right here, because if he gets tight to McGregor, and if he can take McGregor out the game, which I imagine will maybe be a ploy played by Clement just to sit on McGregor and try and limit his impact, that's perfect for a defensive minded player. We're going to need a battle, we're going to need a fight, but again his partner, which will probably be Kieran Dowell in this game, has started 1 game for us so far this season. In fact 2 games for us, and it's been in back-to-back games. Now again he should have had more experience versus County, but that game was actually gone, and that's a lot of pressure on the Scouser. But he's showed so far he's certainly got a bit about him, and now what an opportunity, what a chance to really solidify yourself, as everyone was talking just a week ago or 2 weeks ago that you need to be moved on. Go out there, win your Rangers shirt, win yourself in the Rangers future and play a blinder. That's what's ahead of these players. We're having a bit of a boost in terms of the centre back spot, and I say it's a bit of a boost because Connor Goldson trained once in the last 2 weeks, and it's going to be a late decision whether or not he's able to make the game. But considering the fact that Connor Goldson took an injection, iced it and played through the pain barrier before versus Celtic, I'm sure if the big man can play, he will play, which will obviously be a big boost for us in terms of this game of football, because if you have Goldson Balogun out there, it certainly gives you an opportunity to win this game of football. But again, the midfield is a bit of a mess, and the strike force, you know what it is. It's Sima, it's Dessers, and you're probably looking at the likes of McCausland getting a start, maybe Scott Wright, maybe Cantwell out in the right. It's not the biggest and best opportunities we've got, but that is what we've got. There's no excuses of that. Go out there and fight and win, and that's hopefully what we'll do. If you want a wee bit more bad news, not for this game, but for leading us forward, Sima's been called up to the African Cup of Nations. So he's going to be missing the next 5 games after Celtic, which is great. I'm buzzing for him. Really, really happy for you, Senegal. But aye, troops, that doesn't affect us tomorrow. We'll go more into that when we start making some videos in January, as I believe there's 2 more deals very, very close to being announced, and we'll be speaking about it very shortly with a rumour video and reaction video over the next week or 2. But until then, there is a massive Old Firm game upon the horizon. Let me know your thoughts and opinions going into this game. There's a lot at stake for both teams. A monumentous momentum swinger, if you will. Try saying that 5 times fast. There's an opportunity to really lay a marker down for either side. Either the Rangers, who are on the up, grabbing the momentum and taking it forward, giving themselves an opportunity to go clear at the top, or you have Celtic being able to sort of lull their fans' feelings, their boos, their upsets, the Michael Beale songs after every game, which is obviously more boos, and get them feeling good about themselves. They came side by side the last time. They ended up winning it at our park. Can we go there and do a flip of the fixture? That would be sensational. It's not going to take a brain surgeon to expect or a scoreline what I'm going to predict here. My heart is saying 2-1. My head is saying 1-1. And again, that's all I've got to say about the game. I'd love Big Game Dessers to have a game. He is it for me. If he can go out there and impact those 2 centre halves, we certainly have an opportunity. And I think all of it is relying on the likes of Dessers. And I think how people are going to react to that in the comments and how that makes us a wee bit nervous summarises where this team is in terms of injuries, fitness and that. It's all on Big Dessers, who wasn't wanted a month ago. Big Game Des, please go ahead and deliver. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Set up to be another fantastic Old Firm. What are you thinking about the game? What's your prediction ahead of the game? And who do you want to see in the starting 11? It might be a little bit too soon to start a Ross McCausland, in my opinion. I'd maybe bring him in to the game. That would just be my little adjustment to the starting 11. But what about you? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the comment section below. Until tomorrow after the game, I've been CJ Roman 2. Thank you so much for watching. All the best and bye-bye.